Hi, I'm Dallas Kiro, and welcome to Inside Creative Lives. Today I'll be talking to Jacqueline Jacek, the founder of Jacek Chocolate Couture. Jacqueline combines fashion and chocolate in the most inventive and frankly delicious of ways. I can't wait for you to learn about her creative process, hear her story, and maybe even take a peek inside her chocolate factory.
Hi, I'm Jacqueline Jacek, and welcome to Jacek Chocolate Couture. Come on in. And follow me to the boutique. This is our studio boutique where everything is made in this facility. So we have our store here. We carry our chocolate bars. We have some of our meltways as well as some of our baking products for those that use fine chocolate in their baking. And then our shareables, and probably one of my favorite things is our bean to bar, which is award-winning on the global stage. I think one of the things that Jacek is really well known for is our line of bonbons. And what I love doing here is helping people find the perfect gift and curating the perfect box. My name is Jacqueline Jacek, and I am the founder of Jacek Chocolate Couture, but I call myself Cocoanista, which is essentially a chocolate designer, fusing fashion and chocolate and creating these edible masterpieces that you don't wear, but you eat. One of the best smelling rooms in our facility, which is our bean to bar room. And this is where all of the chocolate is made from the cocoa bean. So this is the room where we roast, we winnow, and we process. And then over here, we have our fulfillment area, which is where all of the products that are ready to be shipped are shipped out through our warehouse. So they're all packed here, ready to go to their new home. And then finally, we have our production area, which is where all of the chocolates are made. I made the leap from a corporate career to chocolate in sort of a very measured way. So I'm actually very risk averse. I started in New Zealand in the corporate job, and then I moved back to Canada and had a corporate sales marketing job as well. And then I presented to my fiance at the time that I wanted to do this fashion and chocolate business. So I'd already had this interest in chocolate as a fabric and really enjoyed the process of chocolate. And so it kind of been brewing in me for a couple of years, and I was making chocolates for friends and family and stuff. And I said, I'd really like to do this as a job. My husband is very logical. And he said, okay, look, I'll make you a deal. He said, I'll build you a commercial kitchen in the house, and let's test this model while you're working your other job, which was a nice high-paying corporate job. So I was like, deal. So that's what I did. From that conversation to the time I was making chocolates in my commercial kitchen was only 3 months. It was very quick. And Jacek was born. I was working markets, nights and weekends, making chocolates. And then we started our family at the same time. So I started the business in December 2009, and Oliver was born in 2011. And I had to make a decision at that point anyway. Am I going to pursue this chocolate hustle because it was starting to prove it had legs, or my corporate job? I couldn't do both anymore. When Oliver was born, I was still very much in my home kitchen in the basement, and I had one employee, Cora, who stayed with me for a very long time. And he just became part of the daily routine. He would join us in the kitchen in his little bumbo, sit there and join us. And when he was a little bit more mobile, we just worked together and sort of made chocolates, and Oliver was with us. So it's always been a part of his life. And I would go to meetings, he would come with me, put a bow tie on him. Great little conversation piece to start. We found a place in Sherwood Park, a commercial lease that was an old bakery. And I didn't want to take on debt early on, so we spent $12,000 on making this old bakery somewhat workable. And that's kind of where we started, so it's just been one foot in front of the other. My dream would have been to have this big, lavish, gorgeous place, but I knew I wouldn't be able to sleep at night. So I started small, and I took on a small lease. And since then, I mean, fast forward 15 years, we're still in the same building, but we've taken on additional bays, additional bays, additional bays. And we are at a position right now where we're out of space again. The first 8 years, I didn't pay myself at all. My husband took the burden of financing our life. It was very much a joint decision. So he wasn't working in the business, but I also got to the point where I couldn't manage the business myself anymore and needed somebody operational. I know I'm not operational. I am very much rainbows, butterflies, unicorn. My favorite color is unicorn. Like I really am not a linear thinker, and my husband is, so we decided that he would join the business about 7 years ago, I believe it was, because he's very logical, very operational, and so now it's both of our lives. I know there's so many cautionary tales about working with your spouse or your partner that, merging sort of a business life and a family life is hard. But for us, and just speaking from my experience, it's been the best. We have two very clear, defined roles in the business, and we don't want to do the same thing. So for us, it works, and it just drives together to work to a common vision for both our family and for our life. My husband and my son play such a big part in Jacek as an organization and as a business, and in supporting me as an entrepreneur and in what I'm trying to build. And it's kind of become part of the fabric of our life. We travel a lot, we get inspiration, and they're family trips, but there's inspiration everywhere. We have these great family experiences, and we also get inspiration for new collections and businesses and test new flavors, try new things. When creating a collection, there's always striking a balance between there's going to be the crowd-pleasing flavors, and then I always have one that's more polarizing because I want to stretch people's palates and their imagination in terms of what's possible with chocolate. At Jacek, we have a bunch of collections, and I think what makes us really special is we have some favorites that are around all the time and some seasonal products. We have our artisan bar line, which is always loads of fun. They all have names because they all have their own fashion persona or inspired by a fashion icon. And I will let you know that the Jackie is not inspired by myself. I am not my own fashion icon. It's inspired by Jacqueline Jacek. I always joke, I'm actually the least trained chocolatier on the team. They're all like Red Seal pastry chefs, and there's me, who's online trained and self-taught. So the whole journey began with what brings me joy, and it really translating to the business of spreading joy. It's everything we do, from the way we source our cacao and the way that we want to recognize the people at the source of chocolate. So that's why I started our Bean to Bar line about 8 years ago, where we make chocolate right from the cocoa bean. Some of my earliest memories of being creative, oh gosh, I think it goes way back. Like, I remember just asking my parents all the time, to create something. And I wouldn't say my mom is super artsy, but she always created different opportunities for me to be creative. So I remember I would hollow out eggs at Easter, and I'd take little beads, little glass beads, and I would glue them on one by one and just make these beautiful beaded eggs. And I was really young, like 5, 6, 7 years old, doing this as Easter gifts. I was pretty young when I decided I want to create something and start selling them. I think I've always had that entrepreneurial bug in myself. So I had my first business called Jack's Hats, and that was JAXHATZ, super 90s. And it was all about designing really funky hats for ski hills. So like dinosaur gesture kind of hats, and selling them. And so I kicked off that business, and it did really, really well. I made enough money to buy my own serger. This is one of my Jack's hats, which is an original, back from 1992. So I was 11 years old. When I was young, I set up a little business that wasn't actually generating any revenue as an architect. And so I was probably 11 years old, and I set up a business under the stairs in our house, in our basement, and that was my design studio. And I always thought I'd be an architect until I realized that you need to know math and science, and those are probably the two subjects I despise the most. So that was definitely not going to happen. So a future in architecture was not for me. But I then moved on to fashion design. I thought that's what I want to be. And then I ended up going to school in marketing. So I've got a marketing degree from Wellington, so Victoria University in New Zealand, and started a corporate career. I'm very intentional on managing my energy, and for me, reinvigorating myself is being outside. It's being with friends, it's hiking, it's being with the family skiing, and it's being alone. And I think one of the things I'm realizing as I get older is I can only be the best me if I have that space. And so I really value even just driving by myself sometimes when I have to go on a road trip to Calgary or to Canmore or wherever, is really engaging with myself and listening to podcasts that I really like. I guess as I get older, I'm just realizing that I want to be less intense and more intentional. I would say about 8 or 9 years ago, I read the book Essentialism by Greg McKeown, and it
changed my life because I felt like I was really in a rat race and I was never achieving anything and I wasn't getting anything done. There's so much opportunity and I really do believe in a world of abundance, but I wasn't clear on which opportunities to take. And especially when you're hustling and you're building a business, you feel like every opportunity is a gift and you have to do them all. Well, I got to a point where I couldn't, and that just was not serving me anymore. So I read the book and it changed my life in where I am able to say no now with grace. And sometimes it's not a no forever, but a no for now.
Oh, this is actually the cutest thing. Mom, if you don't like this one, tell me. And it's the Ollie bar, and he designed it, and he came and colored in my office. I didn't even know he'd done it, so it made me melt my heart.
Things that I'm prioritizing the yeses for are really things that are going to move the needle on the business. It's something that only I can do because I have such a great team. I also have a responsibility as a leader to grow my team. So sometimes if it's a no for me to do personally, but you know what? This is a great opportunity for the business and for somebody else to take on in my business. That's great. So I'll pass or do the intro. So for me, it's prioritizing things that only I can do and things that are creative and things that bring me joy. I mean, ultimately, that's the reason for my whole business is joy. So, I mean, outwardly we spread joy, but I also want to do things that bring me joy so that I can continue to, propel it forward with joy. Creativity, to me, it really aligns the mental with the physical. We're capable of so much, and sometimes the physical will open the mental if we just do it. And our bodies can do it. It's the mental blocks that we create for ourselves. This year, my husband and sister-in-law really wanted to do the Tour du Mont Blanc. So when they presented this idea to me, I was like, oh my gosh, you guys, that's amazing. You'll have so much fun. And they're like, oh no, you're coming. I was like, really? Is this really my thing? And then, of course, I went. We just got back a month ago, and it was incredible. And just being with my own thoughts and persevering and pushing. And I think it's parallel to when we have business challenges or creative challenges, is if you're really suffering, just put one foot in front of the other.
So we're doing the Spruce Christmas Market in Calgary. So we're just starting to pack for that.
We're currently a team of 36, so I am responsible for a lot of families, and I don't take that lightly. So some days, when I'm feeling like my energy is low, I need to be very cognizant of how I'm showing up to work. And it's just the energy that my team gives me as well. And when they come with new ideas, I think that's the thing that sparks my energy the most, is when somebody presents a fantastic new idea. And in terms of the creative process at Jacek too, I am not the creator of the products anymore exclusively. I believe the creative process is a team effort. I think more brains in the creative process, the better the end product or the result. And so if somebody, I'll give an idea that's probably only half baked, but I'm like, I can't, I'm just stuck on this. And then people start throwing in all these other ideas, and that's when the magic happens. And so that brings me energy. I've been so blessed to have this 15-year career with Jacek, but my ultimate career goal is actually to be a philanthropic lady who lunches with Chardonnay. They say your goal should be very smart and be very specific, so that it is. And I thought, well, I love what I do. I might always do this. So how can I start the charitable component now? So a few years ago, we decided to start our 1% program. So we give 1% of our top line to community organizations. And I have a strong focus on joyful things and things that will affect kids. So my long-term dream is bold, and I'm kind of hesitant to say it out loud because it's so scary to say for myself. But to be Canada's most giftable luxury chocolate, that is the Northern Star, is I would love to be able to deliver what we do across the country in a meaningful way. How we're going to achieve that is very much what we're working on right now. The chocolate industry is very much in flux from a cacao shortage perspective in the world. So that excites me, is the idea of being able to do what we do across the country. So stay tuned.